Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Vertigree Table. I am your host, Ryan Doyle, and I am very happy to introduce the world to Nacho. What's up, Nacho? Thanks for coming today.
Hey man, yeah, no, welcome. Good morning. It's
Good,
morning time.
yeah,
I've got
good
my
good
coffee.
afternoon. It is a wonder of the modern age. It's very easy to forget that we live in the future, but like I am making a TV show from my house.
I'm
Uh,
in the future.
and you are
You
in the
just
future. It's incredible time to be alive. Not, not just on the other side of the planet. You may tell from
they
his
might tell from my accent that I am not in America. I am not American.
yeah, and I mean it is the Vertigo Table audience is international, which has been deeply gratifying. It's cool to feel like you're part of a international community, and it's D&D and TTRPGs have connected so many different people, and that's fine. It's great.
Definitely. I'd like to say I think I was your first New Zealand supporter.
I would say so. And you introduced me to a couple other Kiwis as well, which I
Yeah,
appreciate.
yeah,
Yeah, you're my man on that side. I appreciate it.
yeah. No, yeah. Obviously, we've got friends in common now. With Fred and AJ, and yeah, it's a good little Kiwi community of content creators over here.
Yeah, so speaking of Nacho, you just started a podcast with the illustrious AJ Pickett.
Yeah, with the mighty glue stick himself, Mr. AJ. So AJ has obviously a very successful YouTube channel. Mostly specializes in monster ecology. In fact, he's got the entire monster manual on YouTube. So from A to Z. That's Z, by the way, not Z.
I'll let it slide this one time.
Yeah, yeah, that kind of just happened organically, really. AJ and I, well, AJ also, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Wheeler as well, Fred Wheeler from How to RPG. So AJ, Fred, and I, we're all similar age, similar interests. We tend to catch up once a week and chat, and the podcast kind of just grew from that, really, from just AJ and I having other things in common that weren't D&D related, and just being nerds in general and just geeking out on nerd stuff. And someone suggested you guys should do something together. So we thought, are we allowed to swear on this? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, we try not to swear for the first minute or two because YouTube doesn't like that, but I don't have a
Yeah.
sponsor. Let's go.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry. We just said, fuck it. Let's give it a go. So we're, it's only a baby. It's still finding its legs. But we're having fun with it. And yeah, no, it's good. We catch up every Sunday morning. We pick a topic and we just get very deep and nerdy with it. Um, AJ has a massive encyclopedia brain of knowledge, and I just use this as an opportunity to learn. Uh, it's very much a nostalgia trip. We are a slightly older generation, so both AJ and I are in our 50s, so we're kids of the 80s. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia for us, and I always kind of felt our generation needs to pass this on to the other generation. Like there's a lot of gatekeeping and a lot of you know, older nerds have a reputation of being a little bit grumpy and a little bit guarded, and yeah, so I'd rather we just want to talk about it, and I only want to talk about things I like. There's too much, you know, negativity out there. Yeah, if you want to go find a video or about someone shitting on something, there's a million of them. I'd rather spend my day talking about things I like and love, and getting deep with it. Yeah, which is something I really like about your channel, Ryan, as well. I mean, it's positive, through that whole OGL thing. I mean, you stay positive. You didn't jump on the sort of negative bandwagon like a lot of people, and you're not, constantly bringing up this is what they're doing wrong today. You're staying positive, and that's, I think that's really healthy. There's not enough of that out there, so
I appreciate that. The channel would be much bigger if I had. And I did
Yeah,
do a nightly newscast about how much everything sucks. Because for good or ill, these machines that we built are responding to that. And I did have in the OGL, I mean, I said my piece. I didn't hold my tongue, but I didn't I don't know, we won the fight. We won the fight
yeah.
fairly quickly in the grand scheme of things. So I
The people
called
that
out
we wanted to get fired got, yeah, a lot of them got removed.
the this once it went into Creative Commons because of collective action. I mean, I was all for what unsubscribing from D&D Beyond and just like making our voices heard and like the nerds united and we won and we beat the big mega corporation and they weren't done doing stupid shit. Like there was plenty of controversy in the weeks and months after that. Um, but yeah, it's tiring. This is the fun thing that we do to escape all the other bullshit that's going on. And I can take my toys and go play somewhere else. Like I don't need Wizards of the Coast to play D&D.
Yeah,
I can go
no.
make my own D&D. Everybody does eventually go make their own game. And it's
I I have a sort of a kind of, I guess, a simplistic outlook towards it where I think I probably give money to evil corporations on a daily basis without battering an eyelid, whether it be power companies, internet, petrol.
yeah,
So
no
I'm not.
there's no ethical consumption. So if you're gonna be a
What?
purist,
Why am I going to draw a line with the one thing that has been a passion of mine for most of my life? Um, I'm not going to let them take that away from me. And you don't need to support Wizards of the Coast to still enjoy D&D.
absolutely.
Um,
That's why I buy the books. That's why I don't trust the digital stuff so much. I like
yeah,
physical hard copy. Pinkertons can come knock on your door apparently, but otherwise,
yeah.
uh,
I thought they might go knock on my door. I got the latest book, I think, a week early than I was
yeah,
supposed to.
that's why I
So
mean that's probably the first time international shipping was a boon to you, I
yeah,
imagine.
yeah. Normally get forgotten about over here, but yeah. So we have a podcast. I should probably promote that. I'm
Yeah, I'm
pretty
doing a bad
useless
job
at.
as a host. Wizards and Warpdrives. Check it out. There are links in the description below. The logo is dope. I gotta say, I don't know. Are you guys responsible for that? You had it done?
No, that's AJ, and it got an upgrade yesterday a
Oh,
little bit,
all right.
and classic AJ, the floating wizard head. It's got a name.
Okay.
It's got some law. It's got some lore.
Of course it does. That's my fault for
Uh,
not assuming that right away.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and we'll probably dive into that later at some point.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, uh, yeah. No, AJ has done all the artistic side. I'm pretty much the producer, editor, uh, yeah, publisher. So
You're a good team. I think you sold yourself short a little bit in that introduction. Like you are, I mean, one, you clearly have experiences over the decades, and two, you're doing the research. Like it's clear you're not just winging it, you're coming in with structure. You're doing some prep work and you know what you're talking about. I mean, again, you said it was a baby. I think there's 3 episodes out now. If there was a fourth, I didn't see it yet, but
yeah,
you
fourth will be tomorrow. Yeah,
okay.
so yeah,
Which is 2 days for me because you're in the future, but it's the past for you, viewer, watching this. Time.
time,
The
time wizards.
yeah.
Yeah, AJ summed it up perfectly. We're both wizards. We just come from different schools of magic.
Yes. Yes. And it shows. And it shows. And it's good. You need that. You need a little bit of contrast. But and it also shines through that like you guys are buds and know each other and are like it's a friendly conversation that you're having. You're not just like dumping information at each other, which I've listened to that podcast and I didn't re-listen to it. So yeah,
Yeah,
history of D&D, which is obviously going to be a series because there's a lot of that, but you
yeah.
started
Well,
at
I
the
think we're
beginning.
we're looking at doing part two tomorrow.
Ah,
So we have covered pretty much 74 to 85, the first 10 years, which is the Gygax era.
mhm.
We'll be covering the birth of second edition AD&D, the downfall of TSR, and a little company called Wizards of the Coast. taking over. So we're probably there's a lot there to cover. So
Yeah.
We're hoping to get from second edition AD&D to 3.5, but we'll see how we go. We go off on tangents, so we might only just get stuck on second. I've got I've got a lot of love for second edition, so much more than first edition. I didn't have much to say on first edition. I was a Bic Me, and you're paying Bic Me now, so it's great that you're
we are
appreciating that.
So you introduced me to Fred first, Fred Wheeler, How to RPG. Great guy.
Yeah, shout out to Fred.
Hey Fred, thanks for forcing their podcast to go onto YouTube.
yeah. So the only reason why I put the podcast on YouTube is because Fred is too lazy to have a Spotify account. So I asked him if he listened to the podcast. He's like, "Is it on YouTube?" And I was like, "No, it's on Spotify." I don't have a Spotify. Yeah, classic Fred.
It's free, right?
So,
however, more platforms, the better. However you consume. I mean, I have Spotify, but I do listen to stuff on YouTube sometimes as I'm running around.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've caught me playing Kill Bargle, which is Beckme, and the adventure, an extension of the adventure from the red box, which it's not currently on display behind me. The art, at least.
I've got it. I've got it.
Yeah, beautiful, perfect. The iconic. So a lot of people, the majority of people playing D&D right now came into 5th edition. And you were talking about gatekeeping before. Yes. That's the iconic. If you haven't seen it on the red box, you've seen it on a t-shirt.
It's probably the most iconic. Okay, so I'm going to give you a fact that I learned during this podcast, which is really interesting. You might want to throw out some art. I
can do that. You're giving editor Ryan in the future some tasks, but I will do that. I can do that.
So if you go through the covers so BECME stands for Basic, Expert, Companion, Masters, Immortal.
I always mess up Masters. Yeah, okay.
It's five rule sets that cover different things. So obviously on the cover of Basic, it's very minimal. You've got this fighter guy just with a sword, shield, fighting a dragon, lots of treasure in a dungeon. So this is basically representing a guy on his early adventuring career, dungeon crawling. So with the expert set that came out, that introduced the rules of wilderness into D&D. This how we got hex crawling, that sort of stuff. So if you have a look at the cover of Expert, now we've got a guy on a horse fighting a dragon in a field. So it's introducing the wilderness side. The next set shows a guy companion. It shows a guy standing in front of a castle with a big long sword, and that's introducing sort of bastion rules. And it goes on like that. What I never realized is this guy on the cover of all these sets is the same guy. It's the same character. It's just every cover is showing his journey through the rule sets.
It's beautiful design because it's showing you what's in the box. Like it's showing you.
Larry Elmore is the artist. Fantastic art.
Iconic. Really is. And I knew that because I listened to your podcast. But like you guys taught me that. That was like I have seen them all, but I never and it's all the same artist. So I was like, okay, I always thought the through line was just okay, this is the same artist, but it's like it's a progression through the levels essentially and through the system. So if you most everyone who's playing D&D these days came in through 5th edition, the majority of people. There's plenty of people who've been playing since the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. People have come back. A lot of people started in 5e, and it can be a little intimidating when you figure out that there was 6, 7, 8 things before 2 and how to sort out all of that. So your podcast episode is a very good idea of like pulling it all apart and making it entertaining.
That was kind of the reason behind doing the history of D&D is for a lot of people, I assume this is going to be their first edition change. Even though they're calling this, what are they calling it? 2024 edition?
where I think 5.5 is like was always going to be the thing, and I think like we're just like we're all accepting it. It's 5.5. I'm
Yeah,
not going to call it
yeah, it is.
5.24 or
That
whatever.
it is an addition change because,
Yeah,
um, you can't go back. You can't combine books now from
right.
the 2014 2024. My understanding of what they're saying, if you're going to go with the 2024 player handbook, you can't pick something a feat or
I was
it's a
just
little
having a
bit grey.
conversation. There might be exceptions to that, but that was my understanding until about 2 hours ago.
Yeah,
So I don't know. We'll see. But this is an addition change.
yeah. So that was kind of the genesis behind doing this. History of D&D is, um, I've been through. I started right at the beginning, so I've been through a lot of edition changes, and there's nothing to be scared of. We need to go with it. This is actually the longest that D&D has gone without one, and the reason is because if it ain't broke,
Mm.
obviously fourth edition didn't do well for the game, and fifth edition is their most popular edition, so they're not going to mess with it too much. But how are you finding playing basic? How are you finding Thaco as a rule?
It's great. I mean, I don't love Thaco. I think it's one of the things where, like, if you're raised on it, you feel
Yeah,
like it's
no,
better.
even if you're raised on it, it was horrible.
Yeah, I do think, yeah, I don't have the nostalgia factor for it. So I don't love it. I don't think it's as big of a deal. Well, because I have the table in front of me. Without the table, I think it would be bad. But the fact that I need to constantly consult this reference sheet, not the best. I
It's
think
not
some
intuitive like D20
say,
system.
say again.
It's not intuitive like a D20 system.
Correct. I think some things have improved. I do, but I've been running old school essentials in one of my home games. I've been playing
Yeah,
basically BX, cleaned up a little bit and modified. I'm running a Dolmenwood campaign for the last few months and loving it. I have a lot of old school tendencies that I have like shoehorned and homebrewed into fifth edition. Without even realizing until like I did a deeper dive that I was like reinventing the wheel in some cases. But I like exploration. I like stakes. I like consequences. And fifth edition very quickly past level 3, level 4 stops having much at stake. It doesn't it feels like the characters are invincible.
it's very player orientated.
Yes.
It's designed to make the players feel like superheroes.
Yep. And it's only getting
Um,
more of that. Power's creeping real
yeah.
hard in this edition.
Fifth edition players need to be a little bit less precious about character deaths.
Yes.
Um, in my opinion, that might be an old man's opinion. As but some of your most memorable games are when your character dies. In my tender of playing Dungeons and Dragons for 40 years.
Good
So
stories have endings.
yeah.
The average D&D campaign is 6 sessions.
Hmm.
The average plan for the D&D campaign is 20 levels, which is like 2 years, gang, and life happens.
Yeah.
So I have so many characters in limbo, in a dungeon somewhere, on an adventure somewhere that are never going to get a conclusion. And I've had characters die, and those moments resonate. And that's the point where you figure out how evocative and intense this game can be when you experience loss of numbers and words on a piece of paper and you're like devastated and like moved to tears because your character died. That's powerful. And if I can
Yeah.
just like undo that 6 seconds later, that power's gone. That
Yeah.
impact is gone. Yeah,
Yeah. It's a game of choices, and choices have consequences.
right. And if they don't, then it's a much less fun game for me. You're playing with kids, you can't hang it. You're looking for something else. Every table's different, cool. But like, if you've never run a deadlier game, try it. Think about it. You love character creation. Why not do more of it?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you're coming to the table with a 50-page backstory for your character, you should be a DM.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Because that's a DM. That's your true calling.
or you should play solo. Play a solo RPG.
Yeah.
Because it's about discovering what happens to the characters at the table.
And just these are my opinions, guys. These
Oh,
aren't,
sure.
yeah, these aren't, yeah, I'm open for anything. So yeah, please don't take them as me telling this is how to. This is I'm an open-minded guy, so this is just my feelings and my opinions. We should give a shout out to Wally as well, who runs the game.
Yeah,
Great guy.
Wally's a great DM, great people. He's been running the game for the Game Masters Roundtable, and we were doing a little homework last night, and it seems like that's the only Beckme that's going on right now as far as the stream goes, which was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, I think
Um,
it's you and the Pick Me Berserker, but yeah, Wally is the only one that's
I was about to say, yeah,
games.
Beckme Berserker's out there, but is he running games?
No,
Um,
he's just doing videos. So yeah, and Wally has a book out as well, and he's the puzzle guy. So yeah, check. Yeah, if you ever want a decent puzzle, he's got hundreds of them on his channel.
yeah, yeah.
So
He did one for Kraken Week, which is great, and yeah, he literally wrote the book. So, and that's a part of the game that a lot of people struggle with. It's hard to get right. So yeah, Wally DM, great resource. All right, let's roll some dice. Let's play some D20 questions.
I mean, but congratulations to you as well. I mean, you've written books as well.
Thank you. That's next episode. Yeah, it was an undertaking that I underestimated, but I'm deeply happy with it, and it's really gratifying to like hang out with people and use it together and see what creative people like you bring to the table. That was the whole point of like I made a tool set, not like a setting
Yeah,
or a game system. I wanted it to be as interactive and open ended as possible. And so far so good. Yeah.
yeah,
So
good job.
Game Masters Compendium of Explosive Creation coming up next. But yeah, let's dive into D20 questions. Let's get to know Nacho a little more.
Sure.
Roll a D20 for me, please and thank
I'll
you.
apologize in advance
Why's that?
as they get to know me.
Uh, slid that one by me.
Kiwi humor. Oh. What's a 3 get me, Ryan?
3. So there's no bad ones here, but there's definitely like a tonal shift as we go up. But 3's not bad. What is your TTRPG origin story?
Oh, my TTRPG origin story is basic Dungeons and Dragons, which we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
This one, which I still have in really good condition. So
Is that your original copy, or did you
yes,
get that as wow? So you care for your things.
yes, very much. You can probably tell. So in 1984, I went and saw a film by the name of E.T. In that film, at the beginning, the actors were playing a game called Dungeons and Dragons.
I had forgotten about that, but yeah.
This is the whole Reese's Pieces type scene when they go out. Yep. That came out around Christmas time, and I was just like, "What is this game?" And then I started to see it advertised in the back of comics, and then I spied it at a local store, and I got it that Christmas. The great thing about basic Dungeons and Dragons is that it had a solo player adventure in it. Sorry, with Bargle, who you probably are quite familiar with now.
And Elena.
And then I convinced there was also a series of books going around in the early 80s around the same time from Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone called Fighting Fantasy. Obviously, Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone have gone on to be absolutely massive. And these were kind of solo choose your own adventure type books that required dice as well. So it would be like, you make this decision, roll your dice, go to this page. So my first experiences of role-playing games was by myself with these books. And then me and a couple of friends decided to play. And that probably would have been around 85. and I haven't stopped really playing since then.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I've I did have a bit of a break in my sort of mid 20s as I discovered uh, drinking and girls, and they weren't very sort of attracted to
Yeah, but they're
these type of hobbies.
very alluring.
uh,
Well, you mean I've done a lot of drinking around the table with a lot of women playing D&D.
yeah,
You got to just find the right girls. But that was a different
D&D
time.
wasn't as socially accepted as it is today. We didn't have Critical Role making it cool.
Yeah.
Stranger Things making it cool. Um, we lived through the Satanic Panic.
And I do, I think, like circling back to opening the gates wide opposed to gatekeeping and some like the grognard tendency that
Yeah,
you seem to like almost have to apologize for, like, hey, I'm not those people. I think it's a trauma response. I think there's a lot of people out there that are like, you don't know what we went through. Like we were beat up and shoved into lockers because we
I
liked this
was
stuff.
ostracized at school for playing this game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a exennial. I'm a cusper. I have a foot in both generations, but like, yeah, I remember when nerds were not in charge of culture, and it was less good for us. Um,
yeah, especially in a small town, New Zealand town, with everything was kind of sports orientated.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it was a game that we played in secret at the library, and you didn't tell people. It was we were picked on, and yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, it's great that now you can clearly be, yeah, you can wear whatever you love on your sleeve, and there is a community there. So, and obviously we didn't have things like mobile phones, social media, so
mm,
organizing games and stuff like that, and meeting people, like-minded people, it was a little bit more difficult.
yeah.
Um, which is yeah, that might you might be right. It might be a trauma response. Because even our parents didn't even get it.
No, I
Um,
mean, I remember I'm a little bit younger than you, and I didn't have I was the nerdiest person I knew, right? Like I didn't have the older
yeah,
brother or like the friend's older brother who showed up and like with the red box or whatever. Like I missed the wave, but like I remember the Satanic Panic because
mm,
that spread beyond, at least in the States, that spread beyond D&D was like a focal point of it, but like there were Satan worshippers all over the place in the late 80s, early 90s, supposedly in like the woods or the baseball diamond at night or whatever the hell,
yeah.
doing arcane rituals.
He's listening to that Kiss album where the album cover's made from blood. No, the comic.
Yes. Yeah. And that all, I think that's the good parts of that are carry through too. I think there are a lot of people on the edge or the fringe that find a lot of resonance and maybe even find their tribe in this hobby. It's still, as much as it is on TV, Stranger Things is the most popular thing on Netflix.
so
It's still a home for a lot of outsidery people.
so the Stranger Things. I'm actually would be the same age as those kids in Stranger Things.
Hmm,
I did the math on that. So
nice.
yeah, that could essentially be the age I would have been at that time that's meant to exist.
Yeah.
Um, so that does hit me right in the old nostalgic.
Yeah. I got a touch of that. Yeah. I was born in the 80s. I'm a child of the 80s.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, and it's fun. And so Stranger Things is based on what is hopefully an urban legend. I don't know how much truth it, but it's the Montauk Project, which was like Montauk was maybe 50, 60 miles from where I grew up. Because the original story is not in it's in Indiana, Stranger Things, I think, but the what they're doing to 11 and like opening portals to other worlds and whatever the hell
yeah.
supposedly happened on Long Island. But that's a story for another podcast. Roll a d20. Let's go. Let's get some more questions on the table.
That's a 7.
7. I mean, plenty of these, but other sources of inspiration that you draw from to pull into your TTRPGs.
I'm a big reader, so I can see you're a big reader by your bookshelf.
I've read these
So
books.
yeah,
They're not just for show.
yeah. So I'm always reading fantasy, sci-fi, and stealing. I steal. Uh, I steal from live plays. I just in number of. If I hear something funny in a podcast, I'll make it work into my. I'll make it work into my group, or and these. What's been great is these discords, jumping on these discords with you guys, and just I love idea storming. I'm looking forward to doing this creative, explosive creation with you because I like brainstorming with other people. Um, Probably a big thing that I've been recently putting into my games that I haven't done before, which I wish I did, is I've started recording my games. Instead of taking DM notes, I now record my games. And probably the thing that I've been doing the most is I've actually been stealing ideas off my players.
Mm.
My players are probably going to watch this and get wise to it now. So as you're DMing, you miss things at the table. Your players say things and they come up with ideas and go, "Oh, I bet you that guy's that," or "Oh, I wish, oh, that and that." So, and I don't always pick up on these when I'm running the game because you're busy doing numerous other things. So when I go back, this is how I do my DM prep. I record my game, and then usually the night before my game, I'll give it a re-listen just to get myself familiar where we're up to. And quite often I'll pick out things that my characters have come up with, not me, and I'll put that in my game.
Mm.
And they love it. It makes them feel smart. It creates really iconic moments because you're making these kind of special player moments for them. And it's good when you see them at the table going, "Oh, I knew that was the bad guy," or you know, and so I steal a lot from them, and a lot from books. Yeah, there's just inspiration everywhere. Just don't be afraid to steal. And tropes, they're tropes for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Tropes work.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel with Dungeons and Dragons at all. A classic, and I forget. I quite often put things in my game which I think are just obvious, and my players don't see it because maybe I play with a group that's a lot younger than me. So my group are in their mid-20s. So I've got 20 odd years on them. I mean, it's a bit strange having a bunch of 20-year-olds come around to a 50-year-old man's house to play Dungeons and Dragons, but it's been going for 2 years now. Yeah, so and you just put sometimes I just put for example, I put like they went into the sewer and there's I said the sewer is like extremely clean. And in the middle of the sewer is a floating sword. To me, that is obviously a gelatinous cube. What did my player do? Just run straight and grab the sword.
And I love that is why. I mean, it's an age thing, but it's also just like I love running for new players.
Yeah.
Like a lot of stuff is less cool the second time around, right?
Yeah.
Like it's some things are cooler on a rewatch or whatever, but like, yeah, your first experience with the gelatinous cube is memorable. It's awesome. They're gonna remember that. They're gonna tell stories about that.
Hmm.
Now, we in that Beckme game, we ran into it. There's coins floating there, and we're all like, we know what it is. We're trying not to meta game, but the second you're like trying to like, okay, what my character does my character know about this? You're already like you've broken immersion already. You already know. It's hard to like put the genie back in the bottle there. But yeah, that first time, oh, the sword's floating. Like that's got to be a pretty great sword. It made this sewer clean.
The sewer is like really clean.
got to be some like holy sword or something. Squish into the yeah, perfect, amazing. Yeah, I love running. I love seeing things through beginner's eyes, and it's
Yeah.
very easy to lose that perspective. So yeah, it helps to bring new people into the game. I love
And
that.
just it just stealing bits out of adventures as well.
Mhm.
I'm never going to probably run one, this one particular book, but I do just like this one section, so I will take that and I'll put that in my book.
Yeah,
Um, you know, I have no intention of running Fandelver and below, um, but I do like the idea of silent goblins. So I have stolen the silent goblins and put them in my campaign.
they're cool.
Um,
I like psionics. It's a very specific vibe, and Fandelver and
hmm,
Below is very is gets cosmic horror. There's a lot of like body horror. Not for
yeah,
everybody, not for
yeah,
everybody, but it's very different. And I think it does. I think the tone suits high level play in a way that like swords and sorcery no longer serves in fifth edition because once you're a Marvel superhero,
yeah.
the guy on the horse isn't scary anymore, right? Like I don't know. That's my opinion leaking out.
In my
Um,
my experience, high level play is a bit more about role playing than people expect,
yes,
um, than than actual combat anymore. Combat kind of loses its appeal the higher level you get. So you need to enjoy like high level play. You need to embrace the role playing element of the game and just
absolutely.
create these like more bigger canvases for the players to be in.
Yeah, because the numbers go up and up and up and up, and eventually, like 88 doesn't feel that different from 65 did a level ago. It's how you shape the story around that, the impact of that. Um, which is kind
Yeah,
of why I like going back to literally back to basic, I
yeah.
guess.
How
It's
squishy is basic compared to 5e?
oh incredible. I'm running around, I got 6 hit points and I'm doing all right, like one
Yeah,
hit point
yeah.
matters. Yeah, like everything matters. Again, like going back to like consequences, like
Mm,
every interaction matters. Um, I'm not looking forward to a fight because it's scary. That's the other thing. It improves immersion because like it comes to steel, someone's gonna drop. There's no guarantee it ain't me in a basic game. In a BS.
every game is Goblin's Ambush from Lost Mines of Fandelver.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So you feel that in level one in 5e, and then it quickly dissipates.
Yep.
And people complain about it. All right, roll a d20. See what else we get.
I rolled a natural one.
91.
I'm
What
running.
aspect?
I am getting a new dice. I haven't got higher
You're
than a
welcome.
7, mate.
Haven't broken the 10 yet. What aspect of running the game are you currently focused on? Which is a polite way to say what aspect of the game do you have room to improve?
Combat.
Mm,
I am terrible at. No, I'm not terrible at combat. I do get. There's a lot to remember as a DM when it comes to combat,
mm,
especially depends on what type of monsters you're rolling. Um, but when you're, especially if they have sort of arcane abilities with spells, and then you need to start remembering all these different spells and what I'm going to do. Um, I've got all these options. What am I going to use in combat? I need to focus more on that. That is something I need to spend more time getting to read my monster stats and getting to know my monsters. Um, I feel there's nothing more annoying than running a game and then coming home and going, Jesus Christ, it had layer actions and I totally forgot.
we've all been there. Well, I don't know if we've all been there, but I've been there. I feel that.
You know what I mean?
I 100% know what you mean.
Yeah,
Oh, I forgot. And then like, yeah, so a lot of my high level prep is monster prep. Is actually like
yeah,
winnowing down the monster stat block. Like here's round one, here's round two, here's round three. But like I forgot like troglodyte stench, like real
yeah,
real low level stuff gets left
yeah.
on the table because you're doing so much other things and making sure the players using their abilities properly and like maybe hopefully trying to inject a little bit of narrative to it. So there's yeah, it's a lot to juggle.
Yeah, and there's nothing more frustrating than sort of, you're reading a stat block and this has got this particular spell, so you have to go to the player's handbook to look that up, and then, just that whole. I don't like how combat just goes on too long, and people then start getting bored and disengaging with your game. Um, so it's something I'm always conscious of trying to improve on as a DM. I know my strengths. I'm very good at creating a world and immersing people and creating special player moments and memorable moments. My players laugh so much, which I think is a good sign. My wife constantly complains that that's all she can hear is just laughter for 2 hours.
That's a good problem.
So,
a good problem to have.
But yeah, definitely what I would like to improve on more is combat, is make it more exciting, more engaging, and I think I just need to spend more time looking at stat blocks and getting to know stat blocks a little bit better. Is it Kevin Anderson? Is that the guy's name? The guy that wrote that book. What monsters?
Monsters know what they're doing.
Yeah. I believe I've got that somewhere as well. I bought that with the intention of upskilling with that side of my game, and
Keith Anderson.
Yeah, Keith Anderson. That's his name. Yeah.
But
luckily, I am very. I don't know if I've mentioned this. I'm very good friends with a Mr. AJ Pickett, who is a monster expert. So my monster game is probably going to improve because I have a particular person now whose brain I can just pick apart. He's helping me design. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag because I don't know when this is going up on YouTube, but he's helping. He helped me design an encounter for my game today that I'm going to throw at my players because.
Nice. This will go up for a couple of weeks, so spoil away. I don't know when you're
okay. Yeah. So my players are. My game currently is set in. It's a hybrid of Dragon Heist and Dungeon of the Mad Mage. My players are currently in Skullport, attempting to infiltrate the Xanathar's lair to steal his pet goldfish Silga, who is an undercover Harper spy. And they've decided, I gave them numerous ways of doing it. They have decided to enter as gladiators and enter a gladiator tournament, which is what I am currently going to have to run today.
Nice.
There's no rules for gladiator tournaments in 5e. So, yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice. I once built a kobold fight club. Under the bar.
I think I remember you talking about this actually.
That might be. I don't know if that was on the Discord or on I don't know if I've done a video about that, but it was.
No. I think I remember the conversation.
I probably should, because it was fun. I was like, we're doing PvP, and your characters go sit in the bleachers and make bets. You make I think I actually made the characters for these guys. But we made characters just for PvP. That's all we did that night. It was a cool experience as a dungeon master to just do color commentary mostly. I wasn't running a creature the entire time. I didn't roll dice the entire time. But that was.
So my players are going to enter a massive arena. There'll be bleachers around the side with all the sort of guild members. The Xanathar will be there overseeing it. I'm going to have 6 doors. They're all going to be numbered. I've got 6 classic creatures lined up, and they're going to roll a d6 at the top of every initiative, and one of those doors are going to open. I'm going to have a different creature come out, and it's going to gradually increase in CR. I'm going to roll. I'm tempted to run a cockatrice as the first creature to come out because I just think it's hilarious that I'm going to build up the atmosphere of them entering this arena. The crowd's cheering, there's smells of blood, and this door opens and a kind of lizard chicken pops out. Yeah. But I need to put the I need to put the cockatrice at a certain distance that they can't just kill it in one shot, because I wanted to make it a bit of a danger later on, something that they're going to ignore that's just going to slowly creep towards them and maybe petrify one of the players.
Yeah,
I'm an asshole sometimes.
I like that a lot. No, well, I mean, I would randomize the whole thing. I would go a step further. I would put the cockatrice at 1, or I would probably put it at 6,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
I would put I mean, well, however high you're going. Were you like level 6, level 7, or what?
I've gone up to level 5, so I've got
5.
a cockatrice, uh, antique, um, a belay,
Oh,
an Eton, and a chimera.
nice. So yeah,
I'm
I
going the
would keep the amount.
classic monsters.
I would let the dice. Yeah, that's a good menagerie. I would um I would let the dice decide. Like there's definitely something about like the narrative stakes going up and up and up, but I love putting the fate in the player's hands. Like you roll this d6, one of the doors are
Yep.
opening, they're numbered. You tell me what you fight first. And then
Yep.
the cockatrice
So
comes out in the middle, and I'm like, okay, we're less concerned about that. We're focusing fire on the set, and oh, you forgot what this guy could do. This little
yeah,
chicken will ruin your day.
I like yeah.
That's my style.
Yeah, no, I will. Yeah, I will. Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I'm just going to obviously draw a big circled map with 6 doors around the outside and roll the dice and see
Sweet.
what happens.
I will say, and I'm not just saying this to make you feel better. I think part of the issues you're experiencing with combat, I think, are in the system.
Yeah,
As a dungeon master, we take everything on. You want to make everything better. But however, yeah, combat can get a little clunky. It looks like it might be getting clunkier with all this new stuff coming out. So yeah, it's a challenge for a dungeon master to keep everybody engaged. As turn lengths get longer, especially as levels advance.
yeah.
It takes work.
I want to say I'm a live D&D player as well, not a VTT D&D player. So
Hmm.
um, I have played on a VTTT, VTT. You know,
VTT.
yeah. But I much prefer, you know, at the table.
Yeah, there's some cool things you can pull off. So I'm in a cool position where I have a live game and an online game because my online game is like a bunch of people from all over. So we can meet up in person. We're working on it
Yeah.
actually for like a long weekend or something. But I much prefer in person play for sure.
I think I need to get more comfortable with VTT because obviously now with AJ and Fred and stuff, I'm getting more invitations to online games.
There's different ways to do it. I like a pretty lo-fi experience. I run Owlbear Rodeo. I preferred it before they upgraded it. Now it can do way more. There's more bells and whistles. I don't want D&D to feel like a video game that much. I've definitely
Yeah,
played with people on Foundry and Roll20, and they have macros and they're doing all sorts of cool stuff. And once in a while, I'm like, ooh, I should do that. But I like here's the map. Use your imagination. Um, I'll do like Fog of War, but and it was a necessary evil. I mean, COVID, like I bounced off of it earlier. COVID forced a lot of us to go online.
yeah, definitely.
Roll a d20 for me, please, and let's get another question going.
Should I change dice?
I should say, if you repeat a
You're
roll,
gonna believe it.
you get the lightning round.
It's a 6, mate.
It's a 6.
I haven't got higher than a 7. I am listening. I'm just grabbing another D20 though.
What is something you have learned or stolen from another dungeon master? You've admitted that you are a thief already. Tell us something good that you've snagged from another dungeon master or system.
I'm always snagging things from other dungeon masters. I'm currently reading Jason Alexander's book.
It's a good one. It's back there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so there's always advice. Just learning to listen, making your players build. That Sly Flourish's Lazy DM is an essential book for being a DM. And I have just getting to know your players. Like you should know as a DM, you should know, your players' characters' names, race, just off the cuff. Just familiarizing yourself with your players' characters at the beginning of every game is really important because it is as much as I said, it's it's 5e is very precious about players. It is they're the reason that you're playing the game, and they're there to do awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just something that Sly Flourish really highlighted in his book, and that's something that I definitely ran with. You know, you make your players feel special and that they have an effect in this world that you've created. They'll turn up to your game every week and they'll be engaged, which is what we want as a DM. Um, you know, we you it's nothing more frustrating than doing all this prep and having disengaged players. That's the most annoying thing.
Yeah, I love the world building aspect. I love um like crafting, but there's a point if it's not happening at the table, it doesn't matter that much. And you can really burn yourself out writing a gigantic tome of lore. And that's fine. If that's your entertainment, right? The secret about being a dungeon master is you get to play way more D&D because you're always playing D&D because you're doing that stuff.
Yeah,
But if you expect your players to give a shit about that, like you have to make it relevant to their characters. And if you don't give a shit about their characters and they don't give a shit about what you're doing, you guys are playing different games.
yeah, it's not a competition.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I steal things off you. I steal things off Fred. I steal things off AJ. I steal things off Wally. Yeah, just I am a massive thief. I am a
It's
rogue,
good.
a DM.
Takes one to know one. It's good. That's good stuff. Yeah. All right, let's try to break this streak. Give me one more roll here.
That is a 19.
Hey,
Different dice.
the numbers don't actually matter. What, what, what's your concept for your next game or your next campaign? Even if, or maybe especially if it might not happen.
So I'm kind of wrapping up my current game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of going to reach a natural conclusion. I've just recently got, so I don't think too far in advance. I'm more focused on the game I've got now. But I did get Quest from the Infinite Staircase, which is a remake of well, a 5e adaptation of a lot of old first edition adventures. So I really think I'd like to. I'm like you. I like the anthology books.
I am partial to the anthologies.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of mashing up some adventures from Yawning Portal, maybe Ghost of Saltmarsh, Infinite Staircase, and just kind of having more mini adventures rather than one big epic campaign. Because I like a few from here and a few from here. So that's kind of where I'm thinking. But I'm not too far in advance there. I don't get that far ahead of myself. Um, I kind of put it to a vote as well with my group of like, I I like running published adventures, but I also like making them my own. I enjoy fixing broken things, which is why people like yourself have great YouTube channels with your adventure guides,
Mhm.
because the adventures aren't perfect. They need tweaking. One size doesn't fit all when it comes to a published adventure. Um, but I think it's really going to depend on this new core. We've got new core books coming, so I don't know how I'm going to feel because we're at an interesting time. So I'm hoping to wrap this up similar to around the same time that we get the new players handbook, and then I'm going to get my teeth into the new players handbook, and then I think I'm going to take it from there. Like, what inspiration do I get from that book and those new set of rules that's going to inspire me to run my next adventure? I
I'm
think.
in a very similar place where
Like, what's this Greyhawk? I might get. I mean, I don't know much about Greyhawk, but obviously that's going to be the included campaign setting. I might get super excited for Greyhawk,
I will
which
tell
will.
you it's easy. I mean, it's easy-ish to get there from Infinite Staircase because you can kind of
Yep.
go anywhere from there in theory. And Saltmarsh is Greyhawk. That's the one
Yep.
thing that they've put out in a decade that is Greyhawk. You can I ran it in Forgotten Realms, but like on the box it's Greyhawk. But it is a very interesting time because we're getting new player characters who are more powerful, and there's an interim where we're not getting the before we get the DMG and the monster manual. So like I'm very curious what that like. It's about 4 months of time
Mm.
where the new editions or the new point 0.5 editions characters are going up against the old stuff. And I think the old stuff's gonna come up wanting, and we're gonna have to.
Yeah, it's going to depend how compatible. I know they're saying it's backwards compatible, but we
We'll
won't
see.
know.
We'll see.
I'm excited to play with the new rules more than what game. I'll wrap this game up. I think one of my players wants to run a game next.
Oh, great.
So yeah, I'll have a little break, and then we'll see. Yeah, we'll just see what these new rules and whether I want to go back and play some old 5e adventures or yeah. Um, I'm not too sure. I love Forgotten Realms. It's my favorite setting. Um, I know a lot of people say it's vanilla. It's got so much lore. I really do love Faerun, and there's more to the Forgotten Realms than just the Sword Coast, which is obviously just being specified. I really love Waterdeep. It's my favorite city. Um, it's really enjoying. I'm running Dragon Heist and Mad Mage, but I'm not running them as written in the book. I'm just using them as a sandbox. I do like Waterdeep. I do like the urban setting. I do like this massive mega dungeon that's underneath it, and then there's this city on the third level that's the hive of scum and villainy that's run by a criminal beholder, and there's just so much cool lore. I could probably run a game in Waterdeep for years. There's just there's a lot going on in that city, underneath the city. I'm very passionate about that place, and my players seem to like it. So we might continue there, or we might have a whole change of pace. I don't know. I don't get too ahead of myself. One
That's
game at a time.
that's good. That's good because I have learned the hard way not to get too far ahead of myself. I
Yeah,
guess in a lot of ways in life, but in D&D as well. I will get distracted a bit by the new shiny thing, and that
yeah,
kind of the luster goes off what you're currently running, and that's I try not to do that anymore. I always have ideas in the back of my head, but like it's good to be where you are and focus.
yeah. I focus pretty much one game at a time.
That's good.
And I always just I build my next session off my last session. I have a little adventure plan that I want to get to, but sometimes that can change because you can only dangle a carrot so many times, and if your players aren't going to go for it, don't force it.
Yes.
Um, you know, like in Waterdeep, Dragon Heist, they're meant to care about this stoner galore. My players didn't give two shits, so I didn't force it,
Yeah.
and that led to them going into the Undermountain. I mean, you can't put the yawning portal in the intro of your game with a pit that leads down to a massive mega dungeon and deny your players going, I want to go down, even though the book says don't. If that's what they want to do, oh,
Of course they
I
want
guess,
to. Everybody, I want to. Of course they want to. That's my least favorite. What meant Tales from the Yawning Portal might be my favorite
yeah,
5e publication because I like modularity, but I don't like that it's Tales from the Yawning Portal because like why the Yawning Portal is a different book. why
yeah,
why am I sitting here and not going like I want to go down this hole? No, you don't. Yes, I do.
no,
Okay, let me go prep something else then. Silliness.
yeah. And Infinite Staircase seems to be similar to that. It's you're roaming around a giant staircase, and every door leads to a different location. Um, I mean, yeah, I think as well. Quest for there's players turn up at your table for a reason. As DMs, you shouldn't have to force um, them to go on an adventure. Yeah, they've rolled these characters. That there needs to be something on there. They're there to have an adventure. So
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to force that down their throats. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, I really don't focus that far ahead. I'm I'm going to tidy up this game. I do have a planned ending, but we'll see. My players might want to carry on going down the Undermountain. I mean,
There you go. There's a lot after Skullport.
um, or we might call it and start again. Who knows? And like I said, new rule set, new campaign setting. I want to get excited by it, and hopefully I am, and we'll see. Yeah.
Well, speaking of not getting too far ahead of yourself, what's next for Wizards and Warpdrives? What's on deck for the podcast? Well, you're sitting down tomorrow actually because you're in the future. What's
Yeah, we're tomorrow we're going to do part 2 of the history of Dungeons and Dragons.
That's right.
So yep, so we'll be covering the sort of the second edition of D&D, which I've now come to refer as the "Fuck You, Gary Gygax" edition, because it was basically designed so that TSR did not have to give him any more money, which is very sad. But a lot of talented people were involved in second edition. The company was in a lot of debt at the time, and the lady Lorraine Williams that took over TSR turned the company around, and a lot of content, a lot. Yeah, we got Spelljammer, we got Planescape, Forgotten Realms. Was introduced in first edition, but there was a lot of stuff that's still around now. All came from second edition, and then obviously TSR got taken over by Wizards of the Coast, and the wheel got reinvented, and we got rid of THAC0. We got introduced to a d20 system, and we'll be probably looking at that as well, and how this. I don't want to give too much away. Listen to the podcast. But yeah, it is quite interesting how Wizards of the Coast ended up taking over TSR. TSR actually tried to compete with Wizards of the Coast in a little game they were making called Magic the Gathering. TSR tried to create their own sort of game to compete with Magic the Gathering. I'm sure there's hundreds of plastic pieces for this game just in landfill somewhere. Yeah, and we'll probably go up to 3.5. We have a list of topics. We're going to open up a letter section and see what people want us to talk about.
Oh, nice.
AJ is pressuring me to talk about Warhammer 40k. I am scared of Warhammer.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's one particular nerdy hobby that I went, this is too nerdy for me. Like, I just walked away.
And also expensive.
Yeah.
I'm not a painter. I enjoy minis. I got a couple players who love minis, so I've been really having a lot on my table recently. But Warhammer's a different. You can do Warhammer, or you can do a bunch of other things. That's an outside perspective.
Yeah, when we're not going to get too ahead of ourselves on the podcast either.
Good.
We're Kiwis. Kiwis are very casual, mate. I don't know if you noticed this. We're very laid back, casual. So we kind of just doing this one episode at a time. What it really feels like what we want to talk about each week, what we're in the mood for. Wolverine and Deadpool movie is coming out, so I'm pretty excited to talk about favorite Marvel characters.
Okay.
I know AJ's got some. We've talked about this before. He likes some quite obscure Marvel characters.
He would.
I'm a little bit more vanilla. So we've got so much. We so many ideas and topics. So we'll see. It's just 1 week at a time. What we're in the mood for.
Yeah, and that's good. That keeps it fresh. That keeps you guys are obviously having a good time doing it, and that comes through. We have a good time listening to it because of that. So yeah, you don't have to get too far ahead of yourself. Keep that Kiwi I don't know, island perspective going.
Yes, yeah. Everything just it's a lot more laid back over here, I guess.
It's good.
Just our general attitude.
Thank you for spending some of your easygoing time with us today. Appreciate you. Everybody go check out Wizards and Warpdrives. Up next, we are going to dive into the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation. So check it out. Thank you so much for watching this one, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.